Welcome to the Filmistines, the double feature podcast. Join us as we unravel the interwoven experience of the continuous conversation of cinema. Take part in pairing movies with their cursed counterparts, movies that share DNA, or even pairing questionable duos by joining our Patreon. At patreon.com/Filmistines, we offer tiers at the $1, $5, and $20 level, where the $5 tier grants the ability to request films to further the discussion. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready to join the 100-year conversation. This is the Filmistines, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're an experience.
They're an experience.
All around you. And welcome back to another episode of the Filmistines. Thank you guys for joining us today. Today I am joined by my tennis shoe wearing friend, Lucy.
Hello, everyone.
Remember, we post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with brand new episodes of the Filmistines. Some recent episodes include 1917. Our Patreon exclusive episode of Amazon's new series, Fallout, Problemista, The Revenant, and Challengers. Remember, leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas on our Patreon as well. Come subscribe for $1. Come request a movie. We appreciate all the support. Thank you guys very much.
Are you stressed and filled with anxiety like I am? Maybe in a bit of pain from that car accident you had a few years ago? Well, the sponsor of today's episode, Hempville CBD, has us covered. They have the highest quality products created by chemists and doctors. Hempville carries everything from CBD to THC dispensary grade without those despicable dispensary prices. Order your Delta 8, 9 edibles and vapes along with the THCA flower and get free shipping when you spend $50 or more at HempvilleCBD.com. Check out the link in the description for more details.
But today we are discussing Reinaldo Marcus Green's 2021 film, King Richard. Here's the other tennis movie. I just want to start off by saying that I like this title because it's as full of itself as this movie is. Now, I do like this movie. It's a fine biopic, fine depiction of tennis and two great stars. But I also like this sort of lightly meta acknowledgement of how we should all bend over for Richard Williams. All hail the king. But before I say too much, how did you feel about King Richard?
Well, it's no secret that I love biopic movies. And as much as I really didn't want to watch this movie, I wanted to boycott this movie, I liked it. I thought it was, a good drama, not over the top drama, but just a good drama, very inspirational, very heartwarming kind of feeling, very hopeful, but it also stayed very fun. It's not nowhere near my favorite biopics of all time, like those biopic movies that just completely make me cry and lose who I am, like Richard Jewell. Or, La Bamba. I cannot watch that movie without crying.
Yeah.
And it's not over the top dramatic, something like Oppenheimer or, one of our most recent ones, Society of the Snow. It's not there. It's very generic biopic, generic Will Smith movie, while still kind of maintaining this fun element, especially with all the jokes. I thought they were pretty funny. But again, the score was basic. It fit the movie. The pacing was okay. You didn't feel like it should have been longer or shorter. It was fine. Great performances from everybody, even the girls. But all in all, I think it was just a very fun watch. Like a movie night kind of watch.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny, the pacing is not an issue when quite a bit happens through these girls' lives, and including King Richard, the beginning of them. We understand Richard. It's very quick and showing us who this guy is. And so we accelerate, faster and faster. And it doesn't matter because we get him. We get the plan. We don't even need to know the whole plan. We just know that he's got it figured out. And it's a funny kind of combo of, I feel like Will Smith's performance is operating on a little bit of a different movie level, where the rest of it feels a little bit like that generic biopic, that Oscar baity kind of thing. Will Smith's performance as Richard feels a little bit out of place and that it's just especially performative,
Yeah.
which I don't know how I feel about exactly because he's sort of crazy. He's really obsessed with his idea and doesn't really feel like a real person, so his performative thing doesn't feel completely misplaced. So it's, I don't know, it's kind of an interesting feeling I'm feeling with Will Smith's performance of Richard.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I wasn't sure exactly how to take this, especially knowing that he won an Oscar for Best Actor that year. Because Will Smith tends to play the same type of character. Someone who's always the leader or the one that knows or someone who's very charismatic. But most importantly, there's a lot of emotion and vulnerability to his characters that he plays. Didn't feel like there was much deviation here from that, because even here he has the jokes that he tends to sprinkle in his movies too. So I don't know. The only kind of outstanding thing that he did here was get all of Richard, the actual Richard, get all his mannerisms and the way he moves and all that stuff. Which, does that deserve an award? Yeah, I think so. I think getting into that role enough. But I don't know if that was enough for me to see this as a award-winning kind of performance, and also if this quite fit with the rest of our characters here. Everyone seems to be a little more level-headed, but then again, you just said it in the beginning, King Richard. So maybe it does make sense that he acts like this.
It almost feels like a safety net for any criticism of the flatness of the rest of the movie and how this is really Richard Williams' universe, and we're all gonna bend our wills to him. But it's not really justified in a like biopic sense because he really is just, you know, a little bit of this crazy old guy who's feels like he's got it really figured out, and at least in some ways in real life did. Venus and Serena went on to be the best of the best of the best, sir. But at the same time, it feels like someone came to Will Smith with this role. He figured it out. It's a great performative piece, no doubt. And then they were like, all right, we're going to make a movie around this. We're going to make the movie around this, I should say, because it can only really be the one. And I do just want to say it's much better than something like Air from our award-winning director, Ben Affleck.
This is a million times better than Air. Agreed.
It's a little bit more on the level of the recent Elvis movie, I think.
Yeah. I'm not mad about that. Although I am a bigger Austin Butler fan than Will Smith fan, but no, that's nor here or there for the movie, like as far as the movie goes. But I don't know, because one of the central themes in this movie is family and family dynamics and all of these sacrifices that the mom and dad had, all these sacrifices that the family made to get Serena and Venus where they are today. And with that, I felt like this was a very honoring kind of movie, to honor your father for the sacrifices that he made and basically making it like an appreciation, thank you kind of movie. Hence the King Richard. I don't know, if I were in that situation and being a big family person myself, I feel like I would do something similar. I would do something similar now, and I haven't even come anywhere near Serena and Venus's success, but I appreciate everything that my father has done, that I would do a kind of grand movie like this and exaggerate all his personalities. So I get that. I that's how I took it, because biopics tend to show all the milestones in the person, the subject, whatever, in their life. But they did something very, very interesting here, that not only did they focus on Venus more than Serena, but they also made it from the point of view of their dad. Because I don't know how many movies there are out there about Serena Williams. I'm sure there's some documentaries out there for sure. I don't know. But it's hard to find a movie where it's not told from the perspective of the person. That's the main known one. I mean, I guess this is about the Williams family, but it's Serena that everyone knows.
Yeah, it's almost like getting a movie from the perspective of Mozart's dad.
Yeah. Yeah, and like all these movies with musicians that we tend to get, I feel like those are pretty popular.
Oh yeah, we get one every year.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Reinaldo Marcus Green here recently gave us this Bob Marley abomination.
Oh, really?
Abomination.
Abomination?
It's trash.
Oh, no. That sucks. But yeah, there you go. I mean, those movies are a great example of biopics that fit that formula. And I appreciate that we don't have that quite here. You know, how many movies are there where the parents are the ones?
It's totally fair. And I love the angle. And we may, for the first time, maybe ever, I don't know if this has ever happened, but get a sequel biopic of like Venus and Serena. Couldn't you see that happening?
Yes.
That'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool. Yes, I could definitely see that happening. Especially with this movie focusing so much on the early years. We haven't even gotten to the success yet. She didn't win that final match and everyone cheered. She didn't win.
Yeah, Richard won.
Richard
he proved
won.
everybody right.
Yeah.
That he was right.
Exactly.
That'd be kind of cool.
Like I mentioned earlier, I thought all the performances here were great, but I really enjoyed the mom, Oracene, or Brandy, whatever her name was. I really enjoyed her, and I enjoyed the bits and pieces we got from her sprinkled in because, yeah, this is the Richard show, but you have a very other powerful parent who was as much a part, if not more, of their success story. And I love that we kind of managed to push her in like that. Absolutely.
The presence of King Richard does imply this presence of a Queen Richard. And she, may live in the background and keep everybody kind of in check, but this movie does go to show how important that figure is.
Yeah. And the girls were great.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it, actually.
Yeah.
We
tend to shit on child stars.
I was pretty impressed.
I was impressed too, and I was reading about how like rigorous their training schedule was to also learn to hit the balls pretty powerfully. And oh my god, I was very impressed. The only person I was not impressed with, which they only had like 2 minutes of screen time, so it's completely okay, but they just felt like, what? Was the neighbor that called CPS on them. She just seemed, I don't know, not dramatic enough for what's going on, or I don't know what about the neighbor, but she was just giving me flatness for the type of person she is. And I don't know exactly what we were trying to say there, because it's very obvious that they care about their kids.
It was just one of many obstacles in Richard's way. That's all it was. We had obstacle after obstacle, and that was like the major through line until they finally struck gold with Rick Macy.
One of the other themes in this movie that I really liked was this ambition and this confidence that these girls had, and Richard instilling that into them while trying to teach them to remain humble. I really love that. And I don't know why, but it just reminded me of kids today who are so confident without putting in the hard work. But as long as they tried their best, they're good, which is apparently what teachers are teaching these days. As long as you try your best, no, get your ass home, read a book, study, practice, do whatever you need to do at the thing you want to be good at.
And then do it again.
And then do it again, and again, and again, and then do it in harsh conditions like these girls. Because I absolutely loved when she was getting interviewed and she was just oozing this confidence. And that kind of thing tends to like turn me off or make me cringe, but it didn't here because of that hard work that they put in. And That's why I think this is like a perfect family night movie to, like, I don't know, make you think, stop being so arrogant and put in the work to something you actually want to accomplish. It's not okay as long as you do your best. That's taken out of context. You have to try really, really, really hard, and that's doing your best. Not you just do and that's your best.
Absolutely. I feel like a lot of adages and aphorisms are taken out of context in the exact same way, where they're a sentence or two long kind of thing, and then we just take the last 5 words. It's like,
yeah, love is blind. All right, then I'm gonna love this man over here that beats me.
There you go.
Love is blind. Yeah, exactly. And with that, I love the hustle in this movie. I mean, it's inspirational to have not only these girls hustling, because they weren't complaining, they were on board, they were ready for this, but a parent who hustles for you on top of that, on top of you hustling, your parent is hustling for you. Like, that's awesome. That's such a good dynamic to succeed and get what you want, because you never know what's going to happen unless you act towards it, unless you make the call, do the thing. It's not going to happen just sitting there. And it's not going to happen your parent doing it for you. It's going to happen when both of you are simpatico, and it's so beautiful. Or you even have kids that want to pursue a dream, but then the parents aren't on board. They're like, "No, you're not a good singer. You can't play that instrument. You're good, but you're not that good. Calm down." Again, I appreciate how much fun this movie had and all the humor behind it, because a lot of the humor in biopic movies that aren't meant to be comedies is just kind of hidden, like read between the lines kind of deal. But there were some outwardly humorous things here that just, it either made me smile or it made me laugh out loud. Like when they were driving and he said, "Say hi to the people that's gone." And you're like, "What?" And then they're like, "Hi, people that's gone." And they're waving, and then like a pan of the cemetery. And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty funny. That's actually pretty funny." That made me laugh. Or the Nancy Reagan's "Just Say No" campaign. That was pretty funny. I don't know what the dig was there, but making her say, like, "Well, I just would say no." Like making her sound so dumb. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, the presence of that little rally was weird.
Yeah, it was weird, but I still thought it was funny. And then when he made them watch Cinderella and then asked them, "All right, what did you get out of this movie?" Who does that? That's hilarious.
A cultured dad.
Yep, a cultured dad.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny too, because they obviously didn't get what he was looking for, and they were kind of reading into it in different ways. And he was real hung up on the humbled aspect. Cinderella's a down-to-earth princess, doesn't want too much, but gets charmed by Prince Charming. Is that his name?
Yes.
But the more important part of that movie is that she's really on a deadline. She's only got so much time to achieve her dreams, which I thought was really funny to make that a point of comparison, because that's even more explicit in Richard's life with his these 2 girls, Venus and Serena. But he kept holding them back basically a grade or 2. And of course everyone thought he was crazy for doing it. And yes, you probably should have every right to think you're crazy for doing that, because everything, every sport, every industry is a young person's game. It's unlikely to achieve what you could have if you just were in the thick of it the whole time.
Right.
But at the same time, how many people are in the situation where they're literally groomed to be perfection and whatever, like Mozart? Mozart didn't have a normal childhood. He lived a life like Venus and Serena. It's kind of funny to see that comparison of Cinderella, because the climax of Cinderella, the thing that's really in your face in a film, was in Richard's face the whole time.
Yeah, he was trying to teach them something. He was trying to teach them a lesson from the movie while he was missing the lesson he should have taken from the movie. That's good. That's funny.
But in retrospect, it's just like, but I guess Richard was right.
Yeah.
Because he bred two of the best athletes on the planet.
Who are still playing, right? I don't think she's retired. At least Serena. I don't know much about Venus.
Yeah, I think she's still going.
Which is awesome. Because not only did he teach them about humbling themselves, but to remain kids. I know he was holding himself back for what sounded like different reasons during that argument with Oracene. In the end, he was still holding them back to retain some of that childhood, some of that childish nature. It's like he didn't want his worst nightmare to come true. He didn't want them to go into drugs or lose all their money like he was seeing all these other prodigies on TV on drugs and whatnot.
It almost feels like he was especially afraid of his girls ending up that way because they were especially susceptible to it. It's what it kind of felt like, that because of where they grew up.
Yeah.
The people they grew up around.
Yeah, they were from Compton, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. And he tried his best to move away from that. I mean, he tried his best to get his girls not to go down that path, that he was about to go murder somebody. Which, how did you feel about that scene?
It was super bizarre.
Was it out of character? With all his, I don't want to say high ground, but all his efforts to get them out of that kind of mindset, really. But yet he was about to go shoot someone. Or was it fitting because they were insulting his daughter?
I mean, it was definitely out of character.
Or was it just God giving him a message?
See, that's also kind of what it felt like.
Remember the plan, Richard.
When that dude got hit by the drive-by, it felt like Richard saw, God in action. Kind of giving him a proper destiny. Like a reminder, like you said, to not mess this up. You've got everything going right, and God intervened in a funny way, as he often does, right? Yes. By killing millions of children around the world.
Wrong podcast.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that that scene was bizarre, but I liked it. It was good. It completely took me out of this motivation mode I was in. Like, yeah, Richard, you teach your girls that they're going to get out of this and that they are good and that they're the best. And then you have this happen. You're like, what is going on? What just happened?
Yeah, it's almost a bold point of contrast to remind the audience and to even remind Richard that you're really just a one heat of the moment away of kind of reverting back to the Compton gangster life. And then in another sense, God kind of reminding Richard that he's better than this, giving him a way out.
Yeah, I wonder if that was an event that actually happened. It sounds like it's at least a story that Richard would tell, whether it happened or it happened quite like that. He just seems like that guy that's going to tell that kind of story. But it's funny here in this movie because it just fits the character so well. I think my favorite scene in the movie is the scene where they're fighting in the kitchen. And this is the type of movie that dialogue is so important to get to know our characters and to convey the themes here. But it was such a good scene. It was very heated because we have this moment where Oracene speaks out and gets her 2 cents in, which she does here and there, sprinkled in. The time where, I'm not sure on his name, but it was one of the trainers and they were about to have tea outside or something, I don't know. And then Richard's like, no, she's not training with you anymore. And he makes this choice and she doesn't have a say in it. Which when the trainer leaves, she's like, never do that again. We're a team here. You need to include me. And then when she speaks out to the neighbor, when she called CPS, and she doesn't say much, but she lets her know, like, let this be the last time I'm over here. Pretty much. But in this scene, she lets it all out. And we can see that she's a very tolerant woman, especially being with a guy like Richard. But she's not going to take any shit. And I love that she tells him that he's not the only dreamer in this family. and basically tells him like the open stance thing you got it from me, and you don't see me as an equal to you. You don't see the hard work I've put in. And then this man has the audacity to say, well, what do you want? A thank you? And I wanted to reach in there and slap him for saying that. Because why would he say that in this moment? You know, that's just who he is. And then he starts walking away, which is what he does. But then I love that she's like, no, where are you going? You're not walking away this time. And they hash it out. And then at the end of it all, they hug. Because that's the type of movie this is. They're still a team. They're still a family. Why not? Even though some harsh things were said. But I like that. I like that overall interaction.
That's where I thought Brandy was going to say, all hail King Richard.
That would have been hilarious. And it would not have been out of place.
Yeah.
That would have been very funny. But she's not like him. She's going to tell him the truth without needing to put in these remarks that he likes to put in. The last thing I want to say here is that I really appreciate when these biopic movies put that additional information at the end of the movie to let you know what's going. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To let you know what's actually going on in real life, what happened today. They include some pictures. I mean, it's like a beautiful bow on top of a present. I love when they do that shit because that shit it gets me. I'm like, dang, I thought I already felt good. Now I feel really good because there's actual people out there.
Yeah, they got to remind you that this is a true story.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
I like it too. I did like the end where Venus was beating on the best player in the world or whatever. And for a split second, especially if you don't know anything about tennis, like the pro scene, you're like, is this little girl about to beat this girl? And she doesn't, but
I thought she was going in the bathroom to do drugs.
yeah, that was weird.
That was weird because she like reached down in her shoe to tie it maybe. I don't know what the fuck she was doing, but that's what I thought.
I guess it's that 4D chess kind of thing that happens in tennis and poker and stuff where you just gotta mess with the competition. Yeah, I thought she was gonna do drugs. It was super bizarre and I didn't know how to take it, but I guess just like every sport, I guess, or competitive thing, there's just these weird little things that can get under people's skin and whatnot.
Because in Challengers, too, in our previous episode, I thought Patrick was doing drugs. And that's why he had no money. But that was quickly.
Yeah, they established him as quite the bum right out of the gate. It was funny.
And there was this, like, weird scene where he scratched his...
Oh, yeah, and there was, like, I think a bruise there, too.
Yeah.
That's true. That was weird, yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe it's the audience. Maybe it's us, and we're, like, ready for these athletes to be doing drugs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you for watching this tennis movie with me and talking about it here today.
Thank you for making me watch this.
You're welcome. Do you have a budget guess for me?
My budget guess is 65 million. Because if Challengers was 55, this must be a little higher. We got Will Smith. It's a little bit longer. We got more settings. 10 million more. Doesn't sound too crazy.
Well, it says here that it was 50 million.
50 million? Okay.
And it went on to make 39.4 million. So it did not make money.
Ooh. Why? COVID? This was 2021, right?
Yeah, that's fair. I think this also had a simultaneous release, theater and HBO Max. So
that always hurts them.
So it's hard to gauge what's a success in this situation.
Gotcha.
Well, over on Letterboxd with 299,000 people, they weighed in at a 3.7.
Excuse me?
It's a little high.
Is that higher than King Kong?
I believe so, yeah.
That was a 3.6?
I think so.
Alright, this movie is not higher than King Kong, but it's still pretty good. I'm giving it a solid 3.
I'm floating around a 2.5. It's too complete, too well executed.
Yep.
For a 2, and 3's just out of the question for me. It's a solid movie.
It's
no
a
doubt.
solid movie. It's a good movie to watch as a family, I think. A good Friday night movie with the fam. Teach your kids something about doing something in the world.
Yeah, the inspirational through line definitely proves that.
And it makes you want to go play tennis, honestly. Or was that just me?
That was just you.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, man, thank you again for watching this movie, and thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Filmistines. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Remember, we post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on patreon.com/Filmistines, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Remember to leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas on our Patreon as well. Come subscribe. Go rate us on Apple Podcasts. Come request a movie. We appreciate all the support. Thank you guys very much. But until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Filmistines. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed the discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives in the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon at patreon.com/Filmistines, and follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching, keep loving the magic of movies. This is the Filmistines signing off.